Hello, welcome to the final section of the course, Implementing Redux. We'll start this section by installing Redux. Moving on, we'll be defining actions and reducers. Further, we'll be setting up store and we'll be communicating with Remote API and connecting the store with views. Then we'll be learning to store offline content using Redux. And lastly, we'll be learning how to show the network connectivity status. Now we move on to the first video of this section, installing Redux. In this video, we'll be installing Redux on an empty application, and then define the main folder structure of our bookmarks application. At some point in our application, we'll need a better way to handle the state of our application and sending data across several components, and overall a robust architecture to scale our application. In simple words, Redux is a predictable state container. We can use Redux to handle the global state of our app, which will allow us to send data to our components easily. All our data will be in a single place, and from there we can send it to any component or view that we need to. Now we'll learn how to install Redux. We need to create our application using the React Native CLI. By running this command, we'll have our initial app. Once we have the initial app, we need to install Redux. We can do that by using npm or yarn. Feel free to use your favorite package manager. Here we've installed the Redux and React Redux libraries. The React Redux library contains the necessary bindings to integrate Redux with React. By using React Redux, we'll be able to seamlessly integrate Redux in our React Native application. Now we'll create the folder structure for our application. First, we need to create a source folder, where we'll have all of our source code. Inside source, we'll have components, containers, views, Redux, folders, and also the main app.js file. Here we created the main folders which we'll be using for our app. The components folder will contain reusable components. These are the kind of components that are not aware of any business logic or Redux actions. These components only receive data via props and should be reusable on any other project. A button or panel would be a perfect example of a presentational component. The containers folder will contain components that directly receive data from Redux and are able to call actions. In here we'll define components such as a header that displays the logged in user. The next folder is the views folder and will contain the main modules in our app. These classes use containers and presentational components. In our application we'll have categories and bookmarks as two different modules internally. The last one is the Redux folder, which will contain all the business logic of our app. In here we shouldn't have any component or view. Inside the Redux folder, we now need to create a modules folder with bookmarks and categories folders inside, as well as an index.js file where we'll initialize all the modules. In each of the modules folders we'll have three files: actions.js, reducer.js, and index.js. Here we created the two modules that we'll have in our app. In this folder we'll be defining all the actions, the reducer, and logic that we need to display our bookmarks and categories. The actions.js file will contain all the actions needed in the module. We'll talk more about the actions on the next recipe. The reducer.js file will contain all the code to handle the data in the state. The index.js on each module will have the public actions for each of them. We can have private and public actions. Now open the index.ios.js and index.android.js files. Remove the existing code and add this code in both the files. For now, the main app.js file will only contain an empty view. We'll work on this component in later videos. In this video, we successfully installed Redux. A great start! In the next video, we'll be defining the actions. See you there.